Hello, hello. Welcome to Metaphysical Happy Hour. I'm your host, Cassie Clayton.
And I'm your co-host, Tracy Escobar. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
And we have another guest in the room. We have Guinness.
Yes.
You might hear him bark.
Yeah, we've got Coda too. So
apologize in advance.
This is a pet-friendly show.
Pet-friendly show. How are you, Miss Cass? How's it been going?
Doing good.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like
Things
extremely busy lately, right?
It's been busy, yeah.
Yeah. There he is. See? I told you he's going to make his appearance. Come here. He wants to get on the show too. Oh, I feel like there's so much busy energy.
Yes.
And there he is. Hold on. Let's get him so he can be on the show.
Okay.
Let's get him. Otherwise, he'll sit here and bark at nothing. Say hello. It's funny. We were on for 30 minutes and he didn't bark once. And the minute we go live,
everybody's making noise. It's all right.
Spirits in the room, right? So
exactly.
He can start seeing things. I really, really do. He's so smart. But anyway, we have such a cool guest. But before we bring her on, how about shameless plugs?
Shameless plugs.
What you got going on, Miss Cassie?
For me at the moment, so I as always, I do websites, logos, branding materials, all of that for our light workers, for people in the spiritual community. And that's, so if anybody is looking for that, or needing that service, I'm happy to work with you. And it's super fun too, because since I am a light worker myself, I understand, I understand a lot more about, the spiritual business than other people in my industry might.
There you go. And she does an amazing job. She does all of our graphics for this show, all of my stuff. So she's pretty amazing at what she does. So if you're looking to uplift your business, I talked to you guys about this earlier. You should be more passionate about marketing than you are about your product. So just remember that. So if you're trying to upscale your business, that's probably something you want to look into, your branding. Cassie and I did a whole branding session just to get my colors right. And so she's really good at that. So give her a shot. Yay. Now my turn. Shameless plugs.
Shameless plugs. Tell us what you got going on.
Yeah. So as always, my book is on sale. You can see it right behind me. It's on sale on Amazon. But I also have, April 1st and 2nd, I will be at the Wellness Expo in the Grapevine Convention Center. I am super excited. It's my first time being back at the expo again in a couple of years, right? Ever since kind of COVID, haven't been back, but I'll be doing readings, and then I have selling my books, selling my cards, and then some t-shirts and stuff. So some merch that I will be selling. So I look forward to seeing you all there. And as well, I started a development circle in Louisville, Texas, once a month. And I had my first one this last weekend, and it was phenomenal. I see Jeff is watching, and he was there. So hi, Jeff. Thanks for showing up. Yeah, but we had like 9 people show up for that first development circle, and it was super good. All baby mediums, all looking to walk through their door and do what spirits called them to do. So if you're looking to develop or you're interested, we have another circle. April 30th, I believe. There's a banner, I think, somewhere. Yes.
Cool.
April 30th is our next development circle. So see you there. It is at Miracles of Joy between 1 and 3 in Louisville, Texas. You can just call them and get signed up, or you can just show up. It's pretty simple. So that's kind of all we got going on right now. But without further ado, let's bring on our guest.
Yes, absolutely. So Sheena Metal, we are so excited to have you.
I'm so excited to be here. I'm loving it.
Hi, Miss Sheena. How are you today in sunny California?
Yeah, where it's pouring rain for the last 3 months.
Like, I can't believe the weather you guys have had.
I know, but you know what? It's so nice because we need it so much. Like, all the plants are so beautiful. Everything is so beautiful. The only bummer is you have to have the landscaper come like every 2 weeks instead of every 3 months. But because my sad little patch of grass that I thought was dead is now like, 4 inches high with weeds.
It's
but I have to say a little bit about what you said about loving marketing more than your product. Look, I love marketing. I think it's exciting to get stuff out there. But when your product is spirit, and then when your product is healing, can you really love the marketing more than your product? I mean, is that even possible?
Well, probably not possible. It's true, right? I love spirit. I love what I do. So yeah, I do. I love it. But without the marketing, how are you going to get the clients?
Right. You have to love both.
You have to
really
love
be.
both.
And
Yeah.
I think a lot of it too is you have to be available. Like I'm pretty much on 24/7. I mean, there are times when I turn the phone off and say, I've got plans. But for the most part, I'm always available to try to see somebody at least within a 1 or 2 day window. A lot of people just don't, they don't. And that's okay. But I consider my psychic work to be like my ministry. Yeah. So I think it's sort of my duty to spirit to be available as much as I can. And that's a lot of how you build a clientele is that's you true. Put your clients first.
That's true. But don't you get exhausted? Let's talk about exhaustion.
We're really gonna let's get into it now. Let's really talk the real.
Let's really talk about that.
There are certain clients that are draining, and I have to kind of muster up wanting to see them in the same way that you muster up knowing you have to clean the sink. But for the most part, I actually feel elated and exuberant after I read for folks. And even the difficult ones afterwards, I'm like completely ecstatic and exhilarated. You just have to learn to protect yourself because some folks just are draining. It's just their natural personality. They're not doing it to you. That's just kind of how they are. And you just happen to be on the other side of it, Oh,
absolutely. I think in my own personal business, that's something I really struggled for was burnout. Like I got so burnt out at one point. I think I was probably doing, oh my gosh, let's say 25 something readings a week, plus working full time, right? Plus doing podcasts, plus writing a book. It's at one point I hit a wall. I was like, I don't know what else I could give anymore, right? So I had to like do some reevaluating myself and say, okay, for me personally, I guess it's different. It's your ministry, right? And I guess it's different. So for me, it's a business and it's something I do and it's something I love, but I want to travel. I need balance in my life personally just to make myself happy, right? So I had to do some refiguring for my personal self, but everybody's so different. So I love the way that you take clients within 1 or 2 days. There's always those clients who come back, have a psychic emergency. Like, how do you handle those?
They all do. They all have a psychic emergency. And I feel bad even telling them now 1 to 3 days. I used to be, I could get everybody in the same day. And the ones that are the diehards from when I opened my practice, they still expect that they can call and I can take them right away. Mm-hmm. But it's not like that anymore. I'm just too busy to do it. So, you just have to explain to them. And I try to make time and I try to tell them, look, my nights are more free. So because a lot of my clients are on the East Coast and in Europe, so they need the earlier time. So if you can stay up late, I'll stay up late with you and take you if you'll stay up. And it's great for my clients that are like in Australia and the other side of the world because that's their day. So it works out perfectly. But I'm willing to stay up till 2-3 o'clock in the morning and read for folks if you'll stay up with me. But I can't always get you in at noon or at 2 o'clock because I have something else going on. And also because that's when I have radio shows and my talk show and my live broadcasts and, all that stuff that I do happens during the day or the early evening. So it just depends on how you can get in faster. If you're more flexible, I'll be flexible with you. And I think it's kind of fun. It's a challenge,
It's a challenge. I love it. How do you balance personal life? That has never come into play?
Oh, of course.
Okay. Be real.
I carve out the time for personal time.
Perfect.
You know what I mean? When I need to spend time with somebody that I love, then I make sure I make the time for it. And I do live video broadcasts where I just do readings for about an hour to 2 hours usually about 90 minutes every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday on all my social media platforms. And I'm the psycho who bought 4 extra iPhones to create a little diamond-shaped studio so I could do all the social media at one time. Because I couldn't find a program that did all the stuff I wanted to do. Either they didn't do TikTok or they didn't do Facebook, or I'm like, no, I want it all. So I just bought the cameras and did it. So at night, on those nights, I usually go to my best friend's house for dinner. We have family dinner. And then all the replying that I have to do to all those people, I just do while we watch TV. So I kind of make things work in my life so that 2 things work at once.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, and it all works out great. So I'm a good multitasker, and I enjoy having more than one thing happening at once. So I think that's probably very good for me too.
No, I think so too. Like I'm the same way. I want to stay busy and I want to keep busy. So I am totally. People think I'm on my phone scrolling, but I'm on my phone working. Like I'm reading something, I'm doing something, I'm answering somebody. Like that's just kind of how I am. I want to rewind because we just jumped right into this business, but tell us a little bit about your spiritual background. Were you born with it? Did you have supportive parents who nurtured it? Like, what's your background and how did you become Spiritual.
Yeah, I mean, looking back now, sure, I had it my whole life. I like to credit my near-death experience when I was 23 for really kicking it into gear. And that was just about this time, 32 years ago. I just passed my near-death experience date, which is March 18th. Always glad to still be alive. But my mother was a psychic medium. Although when I was a kid, she never talked about it. She didn't really come out of that closet until I was in college, 1920. But there was always something, like the phone would ring and she'd be like, oh, that's your uncle, your grandmother's dead. And then we'd all look at her and she'd kind of laugh and go, I know, it's the weird thing I can do. She had a lot of ufology experiences with off-worlders and aliens, and she had a hat man that followed her, the hat man lore. She had a lot of crazy stuff that happened to her. My father was a complete atheist and believed in nothing. Basically because he was a lapsed Catholic and decided he just hated it all. He threw the baby out with the bathwater and it was all done. And he's an engineer and he loved robots more than people. So everything with him was, Isaac Asimov and like the tech sci-fi. He didn't believe in God. He didn't believe in anything. But then when he died, like a super trippy thing happened. That was totally. So when he died, as he was dying, he started having experiences. And, first, he kept saying he was sitting in a cab in the middle of New York, which is where he was from, and the cab wasn't moving. And he's like, what do I have to do what's a guy got to do to get someplace here? And he would say it over and over again. Well, years later, I discovered from one of my best friends is a nurse. At the time she was an RN, now she's a CNS. And she was thinking about, at the time, working in hospice care. And she read this very famous hospice author who said that when people are dying, sometimes they see themselves being stuck in like traffic, or they're stuck in a plane that won't land, or they're stuck in a train that's not going anywhere. It's kind of like being stuck between here and there. So that was weird enough. So then the night before he died, which we didn't know he was dying, we knew he had brain cancer, but we didn't know he was going to die anytime soon. He had just had his surgery. I walked into his room. And he said he didn't know who I was, because after the brain surgery, he didn't know who any of us were. He barely knew who he was. And he kind of just mumbled. He'd mumble his name. He'd mumble a couple things. All of a sudden, he looked at me like really clear. And he and I didn't really have a relationship, but I kind of got stuck taking care of him for my mom. So I was taking care of him. And he looked at me and he pointed at me and he said, let me ask you something. I mean, clear as a bell. And I said, okay. And he said, so I'm here, and there are these big black things with wings. And they're telling me that I belong to them and I have to follow them. He's like, but another thing, there are these other things, and they're tall and they're blue and they look like they would be hot if you touch them, but they're actually cool. And they're telling me that I don't have to listen to these black things and I can go with them if I want to. So what the hell am I supposed to do? And then he went right back to the mumbling again.
Did he really?
And that night he died. He had a septic bladder infection nobody knew about. We got a call at 2:00 in the morning and he was dead.
Gone. Oh, what an experience.
My dad was not the nicest guy. I mean, he was a person who we would now call a narcissist, who lived only for himself and did not always have the nicest things to say about anyone, especially his family. And he was not a great father, and he was not a great husband, and he didn't even seem to care. So the fact that he was then in this situation where things of the dark were saying, well, we got you, thanks for living a life for yourself, you're ours. But then things of the light were saying, no, you can change your mind and go with, I mean, this is pretty heavy for the beginning of the interview, right?
I love it, though.
Isn't that an interesting story for this man who believed in nothing?
It's so deep. It's so deep. I love that, though. And he finally had an experience towards the end, right?
Yeah. And my mom used to always say after he died, which way did he go?
Where did he go?
We don't know. We don't know.
We don't know which way he chose.
it's a story that's left up in the air. Who knows? But yeah. And then after he died, he was such a poltergeisty spirit. I mean, he would kick my mom's chair, papers would fly all over my room. He would bug every medium I knew and try to get them to talk to me. So, it finally I had to say, look, you know what? You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
There you go.
Because sometimes I think an energy that is living or an energy that is past that has a negativity to them, you need to break that cycle. And sometimes you have to do it on your end.
You do. And that's good advice for people who don't want to be contacted. Because in some of my readings, we have people who come through that the sitter's just not ready for, right? And
Sure.
tell them it's all your power. You can have them go away if you want, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
You have the power for sure.
You're in control.
You are so in control always. I want to talk a little bit well, you know what? Someone wants you to share your near-death experience if you felt comfortable with that.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'll share that too.
Yeah.
So I was 23 and I had just bought my house in Los Angeles, and I was driving down to Orange County to go to work because I had been living in Huntington Beach where I grew up, where I am now living. And I was driving back to Orange County to work for the first day after closing escrow on my house. And a delivery truck driver realized he had missed his exit and kind of cut perpendicular across traffic to get off on his exit. And I swerved to avoid him and hit the sound wall head on. And I was driving really fast. I do not drive fast anymore, but I was driving way above the speed limit.
Okay.
And I remember heading towards the wall and thinking, well, at the least I'm going to be paralyzed from the neck down. I'm dead and it's over. And what a strange way to die. And then in my consciousness, what actually happened was the car bounced off the sound wall. The whole front end was smashed up to the windshield and it started spinning in a circle. So in my consciousness, I drove through the wall and I was in this space that was completely white, not like clouds and cherubs, but just all white,
okay.
Like a blank canvas. And I looked over and there was a guy sitting in my passenger seat and he had on kind of like oatmeal colored, like a yoga pants and a top. And he had like long dark hair and a long dark beard. And he said, I said, what are you doing in my car? And he said, oh, I'm just here to make sure you get across okay. And then I heard this voice say, it's up to you. Do you want to go or do you want to stay? And I said, oh my God, I want to stay. There's so many things I want to do. And then instantly I was back in that car and it was spinning.
Really?
And they had called an ambulance. I mean, everybody thought I was done. And I walked out of the car, stumbled out of the car. I had like shorts and a t-shirt. I had no shoes on. I'm from the beach. I drive with no shoes. Still, I do that.
Still do.
And I was just, I thought I was dead. I didn't understand what was going on, why people were talking to me, because I thought I was dead.
Wow.
I mean, I had a head injury and a neck injury and my knee was screwed. I mean, stuff was wrong,
yeah,
but not the kind of stuff that should have been wrong. And nobody could figure out, like, people kept saying, why aren't you dead? Like the tow truck driver, when the police officer came, why aren't you dead? Like everybody, I'm
really?
like, I don't know. I'm just here.
What
so,
a story.
Two things I took from that. First of all, everybody always says, was Jesus in the car? And I always laugh because at that time I had really escaped from the Jesus-y Orange County Bible Belt area where I grew up and was very much about only saying the universe. And so the fact that Jesus would be in the car with me, to me, was weird. The other thing was that when I went home, and I always say it was for like a hot minute, right? Who knows how long it was in Earth time, but it's felt longer than it was. I was so amazed by how much pain we're in every day and how when you cross that pain goes away. Mm-hmm. Physical pain, emotional pain, just the pain of being in a body that we don't think about, that bodies hurt until it's all gone. I was fascinated by that. And when I came back, instead of seeing everything in kind of a straight line, I was an actor and I was very linear and everything was about my path. I started seeing everything as a circle. How could I create projects and get my friends involved? How could I do things that gave back to other people? It all became very different. And then that night, I started seeing the black figures out of the corners of my eyes, and I started having these weird paranormal things happen. Yeah. So it changed me. You bring things back, right? It's what I call being haunted. As a matter of fact, when I'm speaking at a conference next weekend, and the talk that I'm doing is called Are You Haunted? And it's basically what I call people who have had a near-death experience, a spiritual experience, paranormal, a UFO experience, that once you've had that experience, you're forever different. And I call it being haunted. Yeah. So once I had that near-death experience, man, I was haunted.
Changed
And
everything.
then I started seeing everything. And that's when the gifts started really coming in, and I couldn't get rid of them. I mean, they were really strong.
Yeah. Did you always know that you wanted to be in the ministry part of it? Did you always know?
No.
Like, what was your calling? Like,
No.
what led you to that part, right?
When my mom died in 2016, about an hour after she died, she downloaded all of her gifts into me. So I had my gifts and her gifts. I thought that was not a real thing till it happened to me. I'll confess. I thought that was hooey until it happened to me.
Okay.
And then she said, now it's your time, kid. You got to go and do this. And so I didn't know what that meant or how I was going to do it. And then one day I was sitting in a hot tub and I got the download that I had to do something to honor her. And then her birthday was the 9th of November, 2016. We had a little election that day. And I saw the country being so torn apart and my friends not talking to each other. And Spirit kind of came in and said, you know what you need to do? You need to create a movement of peace and love and kindness and unity, because that's what your mom taught you. And that's what she would want. Yeah. And they said, it's called Raising the Vibration, and go somewhere, find a URL and go now and do it.
Go do it.
I did it. I went and pulled over at a Starbucks and I got on my phone and it happened to be available, which how do you know that would happen? And I got it and I put a page up on Facebook and I started gathering people. And 8 months later, I said to myself, okay, I've gathered 20,000 people. I started a radio show called Raising the Vibration. Where is this going and what am I doing? And I was literally sitting in a Walmart parking lot. And Spirit said to me, this is what's happening. You're going to make it a nonprofit. You're going to open your spiritual practice and you're going to become a minister. And I thought, well, okay, those things are all never going to happen, because what? 2 weeks later, I was doing a live broadcast of my radio show at the Hollywood Improv.
Okay.
And I talked a little bit about my mom's death and starting this movement. And I was afterwards sitting at a table with a bunch of folks. And I said to a friend of mine that had a nonprofit, I'm going to pick your brain about nonprofit stuff, because this weird thing happened to me in a Walmart parking lot. And this man sitting at the table who I didn't know said, I don't know what you're talking about, but I help set nonprofits up for people. And if your nonprofit is the thing you talked about on the stage, please let me give you the gift of setting this up for you. And I said, well, thank you. And then somebody said, well, what else did Spirit tell you? And I said, oh my God, they told me I'm supposed to become a minister. And I started laughing. And the same man said, I'm the president of American Trinity University and I will ordain you. So within 2 weeks, it was all done. Like,
wow.
I'm crying, right? Like right now, I cry every time I tell that story. Within 2 weeks, it was all done. And then I really had my eye on the Metropolitan Community Church. I believe in so much because it was founded by a bunch of folks in the queer community who got kicked out of their own churches and were looking for a place to have a church and call themselves Christians and base their lives on the teachings of Christ, which I think is beautiful. My mom actually called herself a Teachings of Christ Christian. And I thought, well, this is an established church and I'm a nobody. I've been ordained for a hot minute. And I was doing some gatherings for my nonprofit. And a friend of mine came and she said, oh, you know, our mutual friend that's a minister over there, we're going to call him. And she called him and he sent me a call and he's like, hey, I'd love to get you on staff here, but I've retired. But I tell you what, I'm going to come to your radio show and bring our senior pastor. And so Steve came and he brought Keith, and Keith and I really clicked, and he asked me to lunch, and we had lunch the next day, and he asked me to come on staff as their interfaith pastor and gave me a service.
What?
So it was like effortless. And then I started realizing how much I loved being a minister and how much my mother would have loved it, even though it was nothing we ever talked about, because she was always looking for a church that was just about the soul and light and love. And she never found that experience. And she never had me baptized because she wanted me to make the choice. I never got baptized. I thought I never would be baptized because of that. And then I joined this church. I started my service, and 6 months later, on her birthday, I got baptized.
I love that story.
So,
and you know, it's spirit driven.
Yes, the whole thing. I did nothing. I just said yes and showed up. That's
you walked through the door, right? They showed you.
I just dumped my face in the water. That's all I did, really. Just said yes and showed up. I mean, even like the first service I got there, I realized I had no minister stuff. And my friend who was the head pastor said, I'm going to let you borrow my minister stole, things that go around.
Yeah.
And it's this woven purple stole with rainbow at the bottom. And I wore it the first night and I thought, oh my God, this feels like it belongs to me. And afterwards I went to give it back and he's like, no. I look at the energy. It's for you.
Oh, you see?
So I can't even tell you how effortless this has all been.
Yes.
Opening my spiritual practice, every bit of it has been so clandestine. And the message I have for people is, you know what I mean? Get out of your own way. Spirit has carved a path for you. Just walk it and stop questioning things, because spirit has it all figured out. And all you have to do is show up and keep walking.
It's so true. And when you're on this path, it's effortlessly. Things keep dropping.
Yes.
That's how you know it's right. There's no resistance. There's no fight.
Absolutely.
It happens, right? So if you just trust and surrender and not try to rush it, everything happens when it's supposed to happen, right? Your divine timing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It changed my life. Like stepping into my power and stepping
right.
Going through the door they showed me, right? I always tell people they're going to show you the door, but you got to walk through it. I'm not going to make you. It's amazing how life has changed. And so I think that's a great message for all of our listeners. Just do it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love that. We're getting so much feedback too. I want to talk just really quickly. I know we have so much great stuff. We could talk for hours. We're already at the halfway point. Grief and your mama, and how does she show up for you now? Right? Because a lot of people struggle with that piece.
Pretty much all the time.
Because I know you have a special bond with your mom.
We really were soulmates. I mean, I think we had so many lives together, and it's very hard to be on the earth without her, without that support. I've kind of had to learn how to build my grounding around me without her always there to ground me, because she was such a force. I'll tell you an interesting thing that happened when she was passing. So I knew she was passing. She was, her blood ox levels were getting really low. So I asked what they should do. They all suggested that I should put her in palliative care, and I didn't want her to suffer. I didn't want what could have taken 3 hours to take 3 months, So they had given her the Versed, and they were ordering the morphine from the pharmacy, and it hadn't come yet. And I could feel that she was really wanting to go. And at one point, before I put her in palliative care, they took the mask off of her BiPAP machine, and I said, what do you want me to do, sweetheart? And she said, baby, I just want you to get me out of here. And I thought, okay, she wants to go. So they have her on the Merced. So she's basically like, people don't know what Versed is. It's like what they put you in twilight sleep for, like a colonoscopy. So she was pretty much out of it. Okay. And all of a sudden I felt this terrible thing. And all I can describe it is sort of like when you're unlacing an ice skate from both sides.
Yeah. And
I panicked. And then I realized that it was her letting me go. She was unlacing our soul tie.
Wow.
Because when someone passes, solar plexus chakra to solar plexus chakra, that's a human living connection. When someone passes, you have to break that tie and allow the tie to be reconnected down through the third eye and into the heart, because you connect to people that are no longer here through your heart. Mm-hmm. So many people, I think, grieve so badly because they're still trying to have a living connection with someone who's no longer alive.
Right.
And once I realized what she was doing, I let her go. And weird story, but it was a really cloudy night because the rain follows me and my mom. So of course it rained. Right at dawn, as she was passing, the clouds parted. This giant light came through the window, hit her right in the solar plexus. I saw her soul fly up out of her solar plexus. It flew up, down, like by her foot, and then flew off into wherever it went. And then as soon as she was dead, the clouds went back and everything got dark again. And the nurse walked in and I said, I think my mom is dead. And she was kind of like, well, you don't know that, because she's like, oh, how did you know that? I'm like, well, I kind of saw her soul go away. And, down here in beautiful Orange County, where it's very Christian, you have to worry about saying things like that. Really? But I did anyhow. I signed the papers. I got in the car. I drove back to her house because I wanted to pick up all of her crystals and bring them back to my house. And the irony is that now I'm living down here. I could have just left the crystals here. But I was walking up the driveway. And when you're like in line behind somebody and they kind of unconsciously back up and you move forward and you bump into each other.
Yep.
It was kind of like that. As I was walking up the driveway, she kind of moved through me, and then it kind of scared us both and we jumped back.
Yes.
And that was when she gave me the gifts and told me I needed to do this thing. And then pretty much the first couple of years, she was with me all the time.
All the time.
Now she just comes in like right now when she wants to, or something's interesting, because she's got her own stuff to do, right?
Yeah.
But she's still there. She is not reincarnated. She keeps telling me she's not going to.
Okay.
She was such a driving force in getting my practice off the ground, and is such a force in everything I do. I mean, not a day goes by I don't quote her somewhere or talk about something she said, and keeping her alive like that, founding the nonprofit in her honor, all of that keeps her so alive. And so the thing is about grief, yes, it's hard, and yes, we all grieve, but you can do things with your grief to get out of the grief.
Absolutely.
And one of those things that you can do is stay in contact with your loved one who has passed, and do something that they would love, whether it's something you're going to do, like your mom always wanted to go to Paris, so you go to Paris, or your mom always had a thing about orphans, so you start an orphanage, or you foster children. Just do something to stay in service, and it makes the grief like almost non-existent.
Amen, sister. Amen. Right?
You know,
you're still including them. You're still having a relationship with them. It just looks
absolutely
different.
Yes,
Different. Yeah.
It's only different for you. It's not different for them at all.
Not at all. I think that's really great advice. I have a lot of people on the line just listening, and people who've lost their moms. So I just wanted to give them that piece.
Sure.
There's another question because of somebody else who's listening too. What would you say to people who are struggling with their awakening and religion? You know, those who grew up indoctrinated in religion, and now they're become awakened, and they really struggle back and forth with that, you know, and what advice would you give them?
Well, I think that everything, I was lucky that I did not grow up like that. And every day I'm very thankful for that.
Me too.
But I think that every experience we have, right? There are no accidents. Everything happens for a reason. So however you grew up, there's a reason why you needed to have that background. So take the things from that religion that you loved and keep them, and then add more. I talk about this during my spiritual services all the time, that spirituality is a spectrum like everything else. And you can create your own spiritual palette. And I like to call it spiritual salad bar. My senior pastor loves when I call it that. It makes him laugh. The spiritual salad bar, right? Because when you go to like Sizzler and eat a salad, there's 100 things and you can't take them all. So you take the things you like and you put them on your plate, and you leave the things that you don't want, but you're not resentful. Like, I hate onions, but I'm not like, why are the onions here? I just don't take the onions.
Yeah.
And then you go to the restaurant and you sit down next to your friends and next to strangers, and everybody has a different plate, and nobody has a problem with the fact that other people have taken things or left things that you have not. And I think if we could all look at spirituality that way, right? So even if you did not like the experience of being, say, gay in a Pentecostal church, there was something you liked about it. Maybe it was the music. Maybe it was we went to Presbyterian church maybe 5 times in my childhood. And what I remember is the coffee cake.
Really?
And coming back and being part of a church 40 years later.
Yes.
The first time I went to I'm in the Los Angeles Clergy Council. The first time I went to the meeting, they served the coffee cake. And I was like, oh, it's the coffee cake from childhood. It's what I loved about church. The coffee cake.
The coffee cake.
I always call Presbyterianism a coffee cake religion, because all I remember as a kid was the minister saying like, oh, there's God and there's Jesus, and we have some really great refreshments. And then people would stampede down there like it was a day after Christmas sale.
Yes.
And get the coffee cake. So that's what I remember about church. So whatever it is that you loved, bring it, but let the rest of it go, because life is fluid, right? We're meant to always be in motion. We're not meant to have the exact same beliefs that we were taught when we were 8, in the same way that we're not wearing the same pants that we wore when we were 8. But don't throw it all away, because there were probably things about it you loved. And it's okay to take some and leave the rest.
That's what I like spirituality. It's not, you don't have to stuff it in a box, right? It can be all things for you, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
No, I love that. I love that. Anybody have a question for Sheena? Put it in the comments. We're willing to answer questions. How long have you been doing this, Sheena? Just so people know.
As a, you mean as a psychic?
Yeah.
Well,
Healer.
I kind of soft launched it.
Okay.
And started talking about it more about 10 years ago. I opened my practice in the summer of 2018. Before that, I just did it on the down low. It was something, I was an artist and a radio host.
Yeah.
I've been a radio host for 28 years. And it was something I did without telling people what I was doing, because that's what my mom did. So I just figured that's what you did with your gifts.
Gotcha. Well, we've got people with questions. You want to answer some?
Sure.
Let's do it. I'm going to have Cassie pull some up because she had to get rid of someone who was trolling us.
We've got a number of those people that we
trolls in the house today.
Yeah. Trolls gonna troll.
Exactly. So all right, let's see. So questions.
Melanie Hepburn had one, but she said she posted at the top, so you'd have to go scroll up, I guess.
Okay. So Ward has one.
Okay.
Let's do that. I go to this place in astral where I can't feel if I need to be scared or to feel safe. I go there many times and the feeling does not change. How is this
coming?
I don't.
So what you're basically saying is that you astral project while you sleep or in an unconscious state, but you're in a place where you don't feel scared.
He says, I can't feel if I need to be scared or if I need to feel safe. Like, when I travel.
If you were someplace unsafe, trust me, you would know you were unsafe and you would feel that unsafeness still when you became conscious back in your body. Okay. So if you're not feeling it's negative, it's not negative. And that's the thing I think in the metaphysical arts, right? A lot of people are so scared of new things and so worried they're going to be negative because indoctrined religion has taught us to fear everything.
Yes.
When something is bad or someone is bad or a spirit in your house is bad, trust me, you feel that it's bad.
Yeah.
So if you're traveling someplace and you're not feeling negative, then you're okay. But always make sure you protect yourself and say white light protection prayers at night before you go to bed, just in case you travel. Because it's always a good idea to protect yourself and bring the light with you wherever you go.
And it could be that you're doing it. And then it's just like, because my son had an astral projection experience and he was scared to death. And I had to talk to him. Why are you scared? Right? There was nothing to be, it wasn't a scary, because it's different. Things are happening that you're not used to. So it can be scary, but is it really scary? Or is that your feelings of anxiousness, right? So you really have to figure that out.
Absolutely. We just fear being out of control, but that's that's it. We just fear being out of control.
Yeah. We have another one, Cassie. Where the trolls are out today.
Lord.
You're no one till someone trolls you.
Yeah, we get all right. They're hitting us hard.
Well, and since we have been blocking them, it just want to take a moment to say here, if somebody's ever asking you to connect with them or, hey, send me a message, that's a highly, highly unprofessional and it's just not the thing to do. And it's not anything that a legitimate psychic reader would ever ask.
No.
Or send. So just something to keep in mind as you see these things pop up from these people. We do block them. We will move them off. We just want to throw that out there just because we've had way more on this show than we do. And so I just want people to know that these are not legit people that you want to be working with.
Perfect. Nancelia Prince has a question. Sheena, do you have any feelings about my business or my finances? Ooh.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I know this has been kind of a rough couple of years. Look for things to get better as we move into fall. The last quarter of the year, things are going to get better for you, sweetheart. So don't get discouraged and don't do that thing that you do where you get discouraged. So then you just stop trying. You have to keep trying because if you want it to get better in October, it's kind of dependent on you doing what you're doing now, which is continuing to hustle and continuing to stay hopeful and optimistic that things will get better. So September, October.
Yeah. I feel a new surge of energy coming in June for you. So I think you're setting seeds then. So
Nice.
make sure whatever's coming to you in June is what you're setting the seeds for the fall.
Right. Keep it up.
Right.
Keep up the
Keep it up.
energy.
Yeah. And then we have Ileana Agudo. I can never say her last name. But anyway, am I going to heal? Will I need neck surgery or will my body heal on its own with time?
Oh.
Medical.
I don't see the neck surgery is in the future right now. Now things do change and sometimes spirit shifts timelines on things, but right now it's all about you putting the effort in to do everything you can do to heal organically. And that means supplements, movement, physical therapy, chiropractic, maybe even some acupuncture. But spirit really wants you to try every single holistic method first, exhaust everything you can, because they don't really want you to have surgery right now.
Yeah. And I got a note too. No surgery yet. I'm using my new pendulum board. So
oh, nice. Yeah.
My new stuff. So I got note too. All right. What's the next question?
All right.
I wanted to get to that Ms. Hepburn, Melanie. Can you find it?
Yeah. Okay. So, hi, ladies. I'm happy to be here. My date of birth is February 8th, 67. I'm currently job interviewing in my chosen field of higher education. Could you please tell me when I will obtain a full-time permanent position in the state of Maryland? I so appreciate your time and energy. Many thanks.
Am I supposed to answer these? I'm not jumping on you. Am I, Tracy?
No, you're the star.
Okay. Yeah, definitely by fall semester.
I do too. I get it the same thing.
So you will know something in the summer about fall semester. You may even know something at the end of the spring semester.
Yeah.
About before. So
I'm getting May. There'll be contracts signed in May.
There you go. That's end of the spring.
Yep. There you go. Good job. I typically don't do mediumship online, but Krista wanted to see if you can connect with her daughter. I don't know if you do mediumship on a live, but her name is Samantha.
Like I can, but I always find that sometimes stuff is very personal and it's hard when you're on the live because you're not sure what you should share and shouldn't share.
Agreed. And then Jeff wanted to say thank you, Sheena. He's the one that I was asking about the religious entanglement.
Oh, yes, sure.
He says, I'll hang on to love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control.
That's it. That's what you totally hang on to. Yeah,
right,
absolutely.
Let's go. Right?
Yes, absolutely. The lady that wanted to connect to her daughter, does she have a question? Like if she has a specific question, I think I'm happy to answer it because at least then it's not, I know what
the question.
You know what I mean? I know it's not anything uncomfortable for her.
There you go. So Krista, if you have a question, we would love to hear it about your daughter. Terry, if you wanted to ask a question, you feel free to ask. This is what Sheena does every day, all day, right?
I do, right? Because you asked me earlier how many shows I did a week, and I said that I did 2 radio shows and a talk show, but I forgot to add that I also did 3 video broadcasts. So yeah, I do a lot of shows.
Okay, so Krista actually said, I just wanted to know if she's okay and if she's around me.
Absolutely, she is around you. She's okay. She said something about things that you've held on to that belong to her and how she loves that. So she said if there's an area where you gather everything that belonged to her, that's where you can find her because it makes her happy to visit there.
She also says you talk to her in the car. I just keep getting a car reference.
Yes.
So just FYI. So whatever you're doing, whatever you're saying, I need you to know that she hears you. She's with you. Just have to really trust us, right? It's true. It's the real thing.
Absolutely.
All right, Melanie Hepburn, thanks very much for your response. I feel relieved that there's a job around the corner for me. Absolutely.
Yay!
Yes, absolutely.
You've done good work, sweetheart, and now the payoff is going to come this year.
Yeah, Lauren, you wanted a reading. Do you have a question specifically? Lauren Mayfield, sending good vibes your way. May I have a reading, please? If you have a question, I want to play with my pendulum, so give us some questions.
So I didn't to bring mine. I could have brought mine.
We do actually have a question from
Marie Lynn.
Yes. Okay. She says, my gifts activated after a big medical trauma in 2019. It feels that I can channel with all of my clairs, etc. And then it becomes so difficult to tap in. So some days she's able to tap in, some days she struggles. What are your suggestions for fine tuning these gifts?
Sweetie, those days that you're struggling, that's you putting up the roadblocks I was talking about earlier.
Mhm.
You get scared. It's so much and it happens so fast. It was like somebody ripped a Band-Aid off and there were all your gifts. So it's taking a while for you to get used to the gifts. And sometimes it's scary. It's like when we were kids and we wanted to jump off the high dive. Remember, you'd walk to the end and stick your toes over the end and bounce up and down and not go anywhere. It's normal that sometimes your human brain comes in and goes, wait a minute, what are we doing? And shuts you down. And then you relax and you reopen and the gifts open again. And then your kind of monkey brain freaks out and you shut down. So just try working on exercises to sort of quell that panic that your conscious mind is doing. That's making you panic and shut down.
Mhm.
Is that what you're getting, Trace?
Yeah. So, and remember, I call you all baby mediums or baby psychics, right? All the stuff is coming. And yes, you're gifted, but you just got to develop it and you've got to learn it.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in meditation to get that monkey brain to be quiet, right?
Absolutely.
Learning to meditate and just be in a place of peace. And I'm also a big believer in development and healing. You got to do both at the same time, right? Because you're going to continue to block if you are. And I'm going to tell you, one of the biggest pieces of advice I got that really changed everything for me. Whatever's wrong within you is what's wrong within your development, right? So I suffered with confidence so big. So I had to go heal all that. And I had to become confident within myself so that I could trust spirit and be confident with what I'm doing. So it kind of goes hand in hand. And so I would give you that advice too. When you're along a development journey for your gifts, go on the healing journey as well. Go figure out why you're blocked. Go figure out what's stopping you from trusting spirit. What's making you fear, right? Fear is our number one block. So go figure that out. That's what I'm getting.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Gosh, we have so many people wanting to ask questions. I think Cindy Gentry had something right away. And someone asked about their grandchild, if she's going to be okay, or their grandchildren too.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Cassie's on the roll here. Sorry, Cassie, go find them. And she's like, I'm trying.
Well, I'm trying, and then we also have hackers again. So I'm trying to do that.
Oh,
So Tracy,
yeah.
if you could look through the comments and try to find those questions, that'd be really great.
Okay, let's do.
Please DM me. I have a secret message for you. That's what they all say.
Right.
They've all got a secret message.
Sweetheart.
They all want a private message because they all got a secret message for you.
All right, Cindy Gentry asked about schools and a job. I know, but you put it in two different places, sweetheart, and I can't go scroll all the way back up to find it. So if you could repost it, that helps. Terry Phillips asked, are my grandchildren going to be okay? Yes.
Yeah, they're going to be okay. They've been through it, but they're going to be all right.
And then Styles, I feel like I'm surrounded by negative energy. Is that my company or am I possessed by a spirit?
No, that's absolutely external forces around you. There is nothing inside of you. Possession is so rare. I mean, it's really, even spirit attachments are rare. I know we all think we're being possessed left and right, but almost nobody ever gets actually possessed.
No.
And spirit attachments are very rare. Usually when you're feeling drained and you're feeling negativity, look at the living people around you. That's usually it. If you can't find any living people, then look at your environment. Sometimes look at the objects, might have a little something in them. You can be haunted and not necessarily be possessed. So just take a look at what's going on outside of you. But in this case, it's a person. You're going to figure it out pretty quick, and just distance yourself. You don't have to cut off or unfriend, or just put some some space there.
Perfect. Cindy Gentry, date of birth 4875. Just wondering if I'm going to get the job at the bigger school or if I'm going to stay where I'm at now. I'm going to use my pendulum while you answer too.
I think you're going to stay where you're at now for a while. And then a bigger school in the future.
And that's what I got too. Yes, I'm staying where you're at now. Perfect.
And you're going to love it. I know you think you want to go to the bigger school right now, but it's actually going to work out perfect. So just trust. Trust.
It's my favorite trust word to this stuff. All right, let's see if we can find some place else. Sorry, dead air. I'm trying to find some more. Lulu, this is also very awesome and interesting. Such a great insight for everyone to look at things. Thanks, Lulu. Yeah. Summer Dawson. Summer, do you have a question? Summer, how are you? Can I just please have a reading? Styles, one more time. I always wake up and can't move. You want to talk about sleep paralysis?
Oh, sure.
Walk, feel awake, but can't move.
Oh, yeah, that's a thing. So I grew up in a haunted house, really scary haunted house. I was not possessed, but sometimes I wished I was. Sleep paralysis is a visitation. I know the psychologists call it sleep paralysis, and I love my psychologist, but it's a visitation from spirit. And the best way to stop them is to do white light protection prayers. And they're very simple. You can just say, I'm asking for protection from the white light. Will the white light please surround me and protect me from anything that doesn't have my better good at heart? That's what I say. That's what I said when I was a kid. It worked in that house. I still do the same white light protection prayers every night before you go to bed. If you get up to go to the bathroom in the night, before you go back to sleep, do it again. And every morning when you wake up, and whenever you think you need it throughout the day. And also start to think about what's going on in your environment around you in your home. Maybe it's time for some salt lamps, selenite wands, some saging, something, because there's something going on in your house, sweetheart.
Yep. Perfect. All right, Nancy. Tracy, will you be at the Grapevine Wellness on April 1st? I will. I will see you there. I will be there. I'll be sitting near Joy and God Miracles of Joy booth. That's where I'll be. Thanks for asking. Chill Lil. Would love if you could share anything you see about my career and what might be in store. Thank you. Chill Lil.
Looks like next year a much bigger year for you. So just ride through this year. I know you're frustrated. I know you want to move to the next level, and I know you really want things to get rolling. But just do what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing, and look for kind of a big bump in career to happen like February of next year.
Perfect. And then Lauren, what does the end of April hold for me? Will my babies come home to us or just me? I'm not sure I understand that whole question. But
babies come home to us or just me?
Yeah,
I'm kind of lost on the or just me part.
Me too. I'm not sure what that means. Okay.
I do see the kids coming to you. And I do see them coming to an us. So I don't know what you meant by just me, but maybe that answered your question.
Perfect. And then Lulu, should I start my PhD program in the fall?
Absolutely. Yes.
Absolutely. Go for it, Mama.
Yeah. And start really prepping before then, so that you're not going in not knowing what you're doing. Start maybe even taking a pre-course in the summer. Something.
Perfect. Melanie, again, if time prevails, is CCBC the college in which I will be hired? Hint, hint. Tracy, plus use your awesome pendulum. Okay.
That's all you, baby. You got the pendulum.
All right. Is CCBC the college in which I will be hired? Let's talk to the pendulum and the spirits that are here today. No. Oh, I get it. Yes.
Nice.
You're going to have to let us know.
I did too.
You did too? Good. Yes. Awesome. Put that intention out there. Put that energy out there. Let's get it. Let's do it. You guys are doing so great. All right. Any advice or tips for remembering dreams? In meditation recently, one of my guides presented himself as a dreamtime soul guide.
Oh, nice.
I dream deeply at night, but as soon as I wake up, I lose them.
Okay. You got to write them down.
You'd have to.
You have to literally keep a journal by your bed, and you have to write them down. And don't do anything like don't get up and go to the bathroom or get water. Write them down first and then go do everything else, because they're there and they're so in your head when you wake up, and then 5 minutes later they're gone. And
I used to talk to myself in my dreams, because you're dreaming when you're kind of awake in your dream, and I would tell myself, sure, you got to remember this one. You got to remember this one. I would talk to myself in my dream and I say, you've got to remember this one. So doing that too may be a good idea. But I always had a dream journal in my beginning too, because I got a lot of things through dreams.
Yeah.
Always had a dream journal right next to my bed. Always.
And you know what else works great is just make notes on your phone, because then you can talk it out. Sometimes you can talk faster than you can write, and you can talk out everything you remember about the dream and then just save it.
Perfect. Ooh, got so many. You guys are amazing. Cheryl Ann, is my ex-boyfriend with another woman? Oh, I'm going to use my pendulum. Is my ex-boyfriend with another woman?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And does my father have a message for now? We're not doing mediumship. His 8-year anniversary is this month. He's like, that guy was no good for you anyway. That's what
Exactly. That's the same message I got from him. He's so glad the ex-boyfriend's gone.
Get him out of here.
Message. Yeah.
Get him out of here. Right. Right. Get him out. Get him out. Get him out. Daddy will help you. Trust me. Please don't forget us on the YouTube land. We got you. Chill, Lil. We did. Okay. Me and my spouse. Oh, me and my. Oh, Lauren. Are her babies coming home to us or just me? Meaning to her or her and her spouse?
No, I see to you and the spouse. That's what I thought she meant.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. To both
happening
to
yet.
us.
Yes.
To us, not just to you.
All right. And probably, last one. Let's see.
Okay.
Jasmine Rose, I really want a relationship reading. You want to try a relationship?
Sure. Yeah. What does she want to know?
I'm gonna say
is
the one she's with now. The one that's probably what it's gonna say. But Jasmine, you want to elaborate just a little bit on that?
I mean, it's a one. It's definitely a one that's happening now.
Yeah.
The person you're going to be with the rest of your life. I don't see that at this time, but again, timelines can change.
Yep. And then I got the owl card. It says to follow your own intuition. Like, you know the answer.
Yeah.
Talk to me soon.
But it doesn't mean break up right now. It just means keep an open mind.
Yeah, keep an open mind. She's asking, will he talk to me soon? I'll use my pendulum. We'll see what it says. I feel like there's somebody, and I don't know if you guys are broken up, and not talking. I just feel like there's something going on with you two now.
Eventually, he will come back and want to engage, but I don't know if that's happening immediately. What are you getting, Tracy?
Yeah, I got he wants to re-engage again. But just be careful, right? Do you sure you want to engage again?
That's always my question too, but I'm sure the answer is yes, she does.
Yep. Oh my gosh, it's been so fun. I wish we could get to everybody. You guys are amazing.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
I love this. I'm still looking at there, everybody. Okay. Anyway, Sheena, where can people find you? I need to cut it off.
SheenaMetalSpiritual.com is my website, SheenaMetalSpiritual.com, and everywhere on social media at Sheena Metal. And I do 3 live broadcasts a week where I do readings all over social media at Sheena Metal everywhere. I'm doing one pretty much right now as soon as we're done. So
yeah, she's hanging up and getting on another one. So go follow her. She's great. She's amazing. She'll do an emergency reading in 1 or 2 days. Love her.
Can I also say that I'm very accessible via my text message. If you guys want to send me a text message, it's 818-437-0886. 818-437-0886. I leave my phone on all the time. It's right here. And I always answer text messages, probably the quickest. So please do.
Do it. Awesome. And okay. And we're going to wrap the show up. Cassie, where can people find you?
They can find me at Stargazers Unite. Stargazers Unite pretty much on all social media platforms. Tracy, what about you?
You can find me as the Red Couch Medium on all social platforms. On Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and then I have a website, www.theredcouchmedium.com, and you can book reading there. And I will see you guys April 1st and 2nd at the Wellness Fair if you're in the DFW area, or at my Miracles of Joy Circle if you are in the DFW area. Sheena, thank you so much for being on. It's been
my pleasure.
Namaste. Until next time, everybody. Bye-bye.
See you.